So, what happens when you spend 6 months and over $60 million on a free live stream, which is typically only reserved for pay-per-view platforms and paywalls? Well, Netflix decided they were going to throw their hat in the ring and find out. Good old Netflix, the company that trashed anime live-action reboots, spawned dozens of forgettable originals, and turned Cobra Kai into an activist memoir. Surely nothing would go wrong on their first live stream endeavor. Right, guys? Right? Now, companies like Google and Amazon have figured this out already. Amazon's production of Thursday Night Football has garnered buy-in as a great alternative to the live TV model, requiring a subscription and offering a litany of product offerings. Offers decent value for what you get. But before we get into the boxing debacle, it's also funny to see that there was a minority of viewers that tuned in and thought that a boxing production was actually going to start when the live stream started rolling. To kick things off, Netflix's stream constantly flickered between 720p and 432p live stream frame rates, with a production that was riddled with miscues, server instability, and an overall lack of preparedness. And I'm not just talking about it from a technical perspective, I'm also talking about it from the perspective of the production. This broadcast would have actually benefited from advertising, as the same 5 talking points were recycled for 2 hours of guest stars on an analyst desk. The guest stars were constantly handicapped by audio and microphone issues. Microphones and earpieces were constantly passed around during interviews, and sometimes involved the co-hosts yelling in the other's ears just to pass questions back and forth. Bless Kate Scott, but multiple times between cuts at the beginning of the broadcast, she asks, "Where are we?" "Well, you're in Texas, but this production staff is nowhere to be seen." Cue 2 hours of Tyson's power, Jake's youth, Tyson's demeanor in the ring, Tyson's stamina, he's 58 years old, and can Jake outbox Mike? Meanwhile, we tune into the slideshow that is the undercard, as Netflix's servers desperately tried to pump out an HD product. Ultimately, this caused Netflix to cap the stream quality. Now, truthfully, I'm going to look forward to the HD VODs and clips that are going to come from it, but trying to figure out who outboxed who was nigh impossible in live time, depending on the stream quality. Now, truthfully, I'm not going to talk too much on the first 2 fights. I didn't even really get to catch all of them. I was more focused in on the production quality and issues. But in the meantime, we got Taylor versus Serrano, which was a diamond in the rough. The only bad part about it was it practically ended at the end of round 1. Is what you would think if you watched round 1. What we got was 2 insanely talented boxers going at each other's necks for 10 full rounds. And wait, is that Mike Tyson's ass? Clearly nobody had any oversight in this production, and now the refs are saying,
"Hey, how you doing, little mama? Let me whisper in your ear."
And at the same time, Serrano's coach is repeatedly saying, "Wow, that looks terrible," about the gaping gash above her eye. Professionalism in this event has hit an all-time low. This fight absolutely delivered. This was a story of how 2 women couldn't feel pain. You might even call it a Botox speedrun, because this damage was permanent. Wait, what? Taylor won this fight? The only people that thought Taylor won this was the judges. The only thing Taylor had on her side was a flesh wound that she caused with a headbutt. I'm getting flashbacks to how the UFC carried Sugar Sean O'Malley to a championship bout, but this is all opinion. 4 hours after the start of the broadcast, and we finally got to the main event. And leading into the main event, we see Jake Paul walk out to a cacophony of boos. His whole selling point is actually how people want to see him get knocked out. Interestingly enough, we saw Jerry's World boasting a decent live audience. Frankly, it was near impossible to see the people in the stands in crowd shots due to the low bitrate, but from the few shots that I was able to get an HD picture, I could see that people were actually filling out the stadium. And now it's time for the main event. Oh, would you look at that? Connection error. And now Netflix is gaslighting me and telling me that my connection is bad. Let's think this through real quick, but Okay. And now onto the fight. The stream is back up. We're live and we're rocking. The story of the night: Roy Jones Jr. saying, "I don't like Tyson's legs, and Mike does not look good at all right now." Well, he is 50 years old, ain't he? Personally, I'd much rather have Livy Dunn or Sydney Sweeney, but beggars can't be choosers. For the most part, Jake Paul was in the driver's seat in this fight. There were a few moments where Mike Tyson came out with some early aggression, but it was mostly countered by Jake controlling the tempo and walking Tyson around the ring, ultimately leading to a decision in Jake's favor. Surprisingly, we watched the fight go the distance, which I wasn't really expecting. I was expecting Mike to get knocked down and knocked out in round six, round seven ish, but he made it to all eight. And was still on his feet, although he didn't look too great by the end of it. From a purely production standpoint, I don't know why Netflix decided that Roy Jones Jr. should be a color commentator on the broadcast. Nothing against Roy, but his commentary was Tom Brady quality. A Joe Rogan slash Dana White personality was definitely missed during this broadcast. I think it would have added a lot of value to the overall production. Now, note that as the broadcast continued, they worked out the kinks in real time. Props to the engineers and crew for getting things right before the co-main events. If anyone is to blame, it's on the planners, the management, and production leaves. And I was going to include a comment about how they didn't roll credits and that it would look really bad on a job resume, but they ended up rolling the credits and then included a shot of Mike Tyson's ass. I can't make this up. Overall, I think I would rather have Crypto.com board member on my LinkedIn profile, but to each their own. And that pretty much wraps up the story about how Netflix spent over $60 million on a production that went sideways real quick. I think I'll leave live sporting events to ESPN, but it will be interesting to see what Netflix screws up next. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, feel free to give us a thumbs up. Additionally, if you have any feedback or you found it really funny, just leave a comment. Let's start a discussion in the comment section. Yeah, I'm really curious as to what everyone else thought of this event, but that was just my thoughts on everything.